Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unstuffing Turkey podcast, where we are unstuffing the Republic of Turkey one handful at a time. This is a special episode. Let me go ahead and pull up the article that I want to talk about. This special, just another reminder. Specials are episodes where what is covered is applicable or important to all Americans, not necessarily just the ones that are interested in the country of Turkey, but it tends to everyone. Now, whether or not you think it is, that's up to you. But from my perspective, those are things that everyone should know about. Because it affects you soon, in one way or another. Sometimes in covert ways, sometimes in overt ways, sometimes sooner, sometimes later. But sooner or later, it affects us all. Another Nordic Monitor. Of course, the links to all these will be in the description. It goes as such. More Turks have faced the law of U.S. justice in criminal prosecutions in recent years. You might say that, well, what's that got to do with the American? Well, let me just get into it. This is Kamil Erkin Alptekin, a Turkish businessman indicted by the U.S. for operations on U.S. soil on behalf of the government of Turkey, on behalf of Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, which the amount of power that he holds, the government of Turkey and the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is might as well synonymous. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and read this whole thing so that if you like, you can skip looking at it and just listen. But there will be a couple of indictments in here in which I'm going to touch on to read them. They're quite long, but they're in English just like the rest of the article. So link will be in the description. Feel free to take a look if you so desire. More Turks have been targeted by U.S. federal prosecutors in money laundering and fraud schemes in recent years as government agencies uncovered illegal networks that extended to Turkey, with some cases apparently linked to the highest echelon of Turkish leadership. In the latest example, a 50-year-old Turkish national named Ibrahim Aksakal was sentenced on March 8th to 27 months in prison for conspiring to commit healthcare and wire fraud and ordered to pay more than $1 million in restitution. Aksakal had operated a so-called birth tourism scheme in New York State between 2017 and 2020. Facilitating the fraudulent entry of pregnant Turkish women to the U.S. on tourist or business visas to give birth so that their children obtain birthright citizenship and medical benefits. This here's a tangent. This is just another example of how anchor baby needs to end. Because the country suffers. The United States, which is the most important thing, our beloved country suffers. Our population suffers. And alongside our laws will suffer. The anchor baby needs to end, because this is not going to stop with this. They're going to gather massive momentum after several years, and they're going to be able to enter Turkish American society, and they are these people have only one MO, and to do what's best for Turkey, because that's how they're going to be raised in. You don't, as a Turk, you don't necessarily need to be in Turkey and be in society to grow up in that sort of a social tube, so to speak. This can be done right, right in New York or anywhere else in the first world. So I just wanted to add that tangent there. Indictment against Ibrahim Aksakal. Now, here it is. Of course, it's in, which one I call it? It's in English, but let me go ahead, because it's all the way at page 10. Let me go ahead and take it to page 1. There we go. District Court of Eastern District of New York. And here are the excuse me. Let me put them a little bit further away so that I don't deafen you guys. United States of America against Ibrahim Aksakal, Enes Burak Çakıroğlu, Sarah Kaplan, also known as Hatun Kaplan and Hatin Kaplan, Fiordalisa Marte, I assume, also known as Lisa, Edgar Rodriguez, also known as Eddie. And those are the defendants. Here's the rest of the information. And this particular indictment is, I believe, 19 pages long. No, 16 pages. Here we go. 16 pages long. And I'm going to read the, the entire indictment, or even, that's pretty much where I'm going to stop with that. And I'm going to continue with the article. Aksakal and co-conspirators Çakıroğlu and Hatun Kaplan, also Turkish nationals, advertised a birth tourism scheme on Turkish language Facebook pages. I haven't been on Facebook since 16. The Zuck, so to speak. But it's right out in the open if you know where to look. They charged pregnant women thousands of dollars, telling them to conceal their pregnancies when they applied for visas and not to reveal the true reason for their visit to the U.S. and helping them stay in designated houses before and after. So, which means what? Which means those applications have been fraudulent because they have been they've been written on false information upon them. Sorry, I speak multiple languages, and I talked about it before. So here we go. On behalf of 117 Turkish women, the group fraudulently filed for benefits and obtained a $2.1 million disbursement from Medicaid, a U.S. healthcare program providing benefits to individuals who lack adequate resources to pay for medical care. 2 U.S. citizens, Fiordalisa Marte and Edgar Rodriguez, helped the gang process the paperwork for. And Enes Burak Çakıroğlu is right over here, also here, and Ibrahim Aksakal is right here. Yeah, it sickens me just to look at these people. According to the indictment filed by the U.S. attorneys on December 2nd, 2020, in New York, Aksakal and his were charged with visa, wire, healthcare fraud, as well as money laundering. Faced with a possible maximum 20-year sentence, Aksakal cut prosecutors by pleading guilty to healthcare and wire fraud charges on October 1st, 2021, and was sentenced to a year later to 27 months in prison. In another case involving a Turkish citizen, a hacker identified as Matt Özek was indicted on September 29th, 2021 by a special grand jury in Chicago for orchestrating a cyber attack in 2017 against an American hospitality firm, preventing customers from conducting business on the company's website, such as booking rooms. The website faced a distributed denial of service DDoS attack by Özek, who used the WireX bot of compromised Google Android devices to direct large amounts of network traffic to the company's website. Here is the here's Turkish hacker İzzet Mert Özek. There he is. An arrest warrant was issued for Özek, 32 years old, who faces up to 10 years in if convicted and still remains at large in Turkey. Now, there is extradition agreements, between the United States, and the United States can get him if if he becomes part of an agreement, and Washington decides to get to him that way. Will Washington do it? That's a completely different discussion altogether. I'm not going to take too much of your time with that. According to records of the United Nations World Property Organization, WIPO, Özek was also involved in a scheme to create a fake website to divert traffic from the website of a major communications firm. WIPA ruled to transfer the fake website to the legitimate business owner and concluded Özek registered the website in bad faith and intended to collect private data from clients. Özek had registered fake websites, including porn, pirated movie sites, in his name to run hacking schemes and collect private data from unsuspecting users. I'm not going to say anything to this. I'm just going to bite my tongue. Indictment against İzzet Mert Özek is right here. United States Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division. United States versus İzzet Mert Özek. And here's the rest of the information. Let's see. And this indictment is 4 pages long. In another case involving U.S. attorneys in Pennsylvania indicted Hakan Kantar on charges of committing mail and wire fraud, falsely represented that he was a U.S. citizen when he applied for and received a COVID-19 injury disaster loan from the Small Business Administration and unemployment benefits from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The charges carry a maximum sentence of 60 years in prison, a fine of $2 million or both. The actual sentencing will depend on the seriousness of the crime if Kantar has a criminal record. On July 21st, 2021, Arif Uğur, also a Turkish citizen, was indicted in Massachusetts for wire fraud and illegally exporting defense articles to Turkey. Uğur set up a business under the name of Anatolia Group Limited Partnership in the state in 2015, acquired several contractors to supply the Department of Defense with a variety of machine parts and hardware for use by the U.S. military. Criminal complaint filed by U.S. Homeland Security against Uğur. Here's the affidavit of the special agent. Let's see. Here's the counter proliferation investigation group, and this is 16 pages long, which you can read all. And let's see. According to the contract terms, he was supposed to manufacture parts in the U.S., but instead contracted a firm in Turkey to produce them and ship them to DoD as if they had actually been made in the U.S. He transferred the technical data to clients in Turkey in violation of U.S. federal law, provide foreign nationals access to department's restricted site for online library and technical specifications. Bite your tongue, bite your tongue, bite your tongue, bite your tongue. what is some of the parts delivered to defense were substandard and suitable for use by the military. He faces up to 25 years in prison on combined charges as well as fines if he is convicted. 25 years should be chopped into 25 pieces, but hey. Another Turkish citizen, Sezgin Korkmaz, a conman businessman who defrauded the U.S. taxpayers of more than $133 million, was indicted by a federal grand jury in Salt Lake City, Utah on April 28, 2021. Those beeps that you're hearing, my phone is blowing up. He had worked closely with the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, whose government helped him acquire firms in Turkey under illegal schemes. Korkmaz was detained in Austria on June 19, 2021 at the money laundering and wire fraud charges. Austria's Federal Ministry of Justice is set to decide to which country Korkmaz will be extradited after legal challenges are sorted out in the courts. In January 2022, an Austrian court cleared the extradition to the United States on fraud and perjury charges while rejecting the money laundering charges. In March, Austrian prosecutors appealed the decision by arguing that the court made an error in rejecting the money laundering charges and that all three charges needed proved before his handover to the United States to face trial. In the meantime, Erdogan government worked hard to prevent his extradition to the US, but has thus far failed. And as you can see, Sezgin Baran Korkmaz is right over here, and the Kingston brothers are right there, seen together, seen with the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Korkmaz ran a sophisticated scheme in cooperation with the U.S. nationals Jacob Kingston, Isaiah Kingston, and Temezdian, and defraud the U.S. Treasury by for over $1 billion in refundable renewable fuel tax credits for the production and sale of biodiesel by their company, Washaki Renewable Energy LLC in Plymouth, Utah. He faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted. There have been a few cases that involved Turkish citizens in Iran, sanctions busting schemes with the help of Erdogan government. In one case, Reşit Tavan, the owner of shell companies in Turkey, was indicted on June 27, 2017 by U.S. federal prosecutors for conspiring to the U.S. and smuggle American-made products to Iran. The indictment alleged that marine goods such as outboard generators and propulsion systems that were manufactured in Wisconsin were shipped first to Turkey and then to Iran without knowledge of manufacturers and without a license from the U.S. government. The U.S. issued an international warrant, but the Erdogan government refused to execute the warrant. He was arrested on June 8, 2017 when he was going through customs in Romania and successfully fought extradition. The Turkish embassy in Bucharest lobbied to get him back to safety in Turkey, helped him hire a former justice minister of Romania as his defense attorney, and even managed to get a ruling against extradition in the first instance. Let's see, get a ruling against extradition in the court of first instance. But the appeals court overruled the judgment and cleared the way for his extradition to U.S. On December 11, 2017, he was formally arrested during his arraignment in federal court in Milwaukee after Romanian authorities turned him over to the U.S., balking at the Turkish government's request. Here is Recep Tavan. On April 2nd, 2019, faced with overwhelming evidence and the prospect of long prison sentence, Tavan cut a deal with federal prosecutors and pleaded guilty to conspiracy to violate U.S. laws, saving himself from the lengthy sentence he would most likely receive in addition to charges. The federal district court in Milwaukee sentenced him to 28 months imprisonment, and on August 29th, U.S. District Judge Pamela Pepper ruled to release and deport him to Turkey, given the fact that he had spent 20 months in the Waukesha County jail. He is now back in business in Turkey, like water off a duck's back, and like nothing ever happened. And not only that, the fact that he walks, basically, this will be a badge of honor to people that look up to him. And I promise you, this is not the last time that we're going to hear about this guy. Tavan is not the only operative that was used by Iran and who enjoyed the permissive environment provided by the Turkish government when it comes to sanctions busting schemes and Iran. A damning revelation was made when a corruption case involving Turkish Iranian national Reza Zarrab, who bribed senior government officials, including cabinet ministers, and cultivated personal ties with Erdogan, was made public on December 17th, 2013. Dozens of suspects, including Zarrab, were detained and later arrested for violating Turkish laws. Erdogan, who was incriminated in the probe, stepped to derail the prosecution and helped release all suspects after he orchestrated the removal of the lead prosecutor and investigators in the case. All suspects, including Zarrab, were later acquitted by new judges who were brought in to oversee the case by the Erdogan government. A dictatorship in all but name. Turkey's First Lady Emine Erdogan, right here, who walks around with small purses that cost $50,000, is seen posing with Reza Zarrab, which is on the left. However, Zarrab was arrested by the FBI in Miami in 2016 and charged by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York with engaging in hundreds of millions of dollars worth of transactions on behalf of the Iranian government, money laundering, and bank fraud. He made a plea. Excuse me again. He made a plea deal with prosecutors and cooperated in a U.S. federal case that exposed the role of Erdogan, who had instructed Turkish state banks to participate in the multi-billion in exchange for kickbacks. Or how is it said in the U.S. business world? What's the actual term for kickbacks? Anyone know? Anyone old enough to know? Administrative fees. That's what it is. Every time you see administrative fees, know that it's a kickback. At the end of the trial, Mehmet Hakan Atilla, the deputy general manager of lender Halkbank, Halkbank means People's Bank, was convicted and served time before returning to Turkey. The co-conspirators who were indicted by the U.S. federal prosecutors, including the economy minister of Turkey in the Erdogan cabinet, remained beyond reach. Another operative of Turkish faced the long arm of the U.S. justice system when his secret ties were exposed during a federal investigation. Excuse me again. I know I am very popular. Kamil Ekim Alptekin, a and his associate Bijan Rafikian were indicted, tried, and convicted in the U.S. for acting covertly as agents of the Turkish government in the U.S. without disclosing relationship with the U.S. government. The U.S. Fourth Circuit Court upheld the convictions on March 18th, 2021. The plot included using the services of Flynn of let me go over again. The plot included using the services of the Flynn Intel Group (FIG), a company founded by Kian and General Michael Flynn, to publicly and privately influence U.S. politicians and public opinion against U.S. resident Fethullah Gülen, aka Gülen movement, a fierce critic of President Erdogan. Now, just to interject here, the reason Gülen is a fierce critic of President Erdogan because just like not all, but overwhelming the previous politicians that took office in Turkey during the previous government model, which there was a president and there was a prime minister, but Erdogan dissolved that and made it basically a one-man rule, cheating the vote. Every party that existed in the Turkish Republic had tie Fethullah Gülen, and therefore the Gülen movement. Erdogan himself, his party, was not special and was not excluded from this relationship. However, when Erdogan came to power, he decided to go against the Gülen movement and turn against it. Therefore, just creating this upheaval in Turkey, where there was a coup attempt several years ago, and it was, in my opinion, it was on his own doing, but he blamed the whole thing on the Gülen movement to just garner more and more support and power in. So there's a lot in this sentence, but we'll get to that in other series and others. Alptekin funded secret work in the U.S. through a shell company he established in the Netherlands under orders from the Turkish government. He remains a fugitive in Turkey and is protected by the Erdogan government. Just remember this sentence. Alptekin remains as a fugitive in Turkey, in the government in which Erdogan is president. All right? In Turkey, and is protected by Erdogan government. Only a fugitive, because what defines a fugitive? In other words, who defines a fugitive? A person and or an entity, such as a government, through judiciary and laws, therefore. So only in Turkey can you be a fugitive and still be protected by another entity that's defining you as a fugitive. It's a goof of all time. And Ekim Alptekin, a Turkish businessman in the U.S. for running a covert operation on behalf of the Turkish government, is right here. And that is the end of this particular special. We're all 30 minutes, so I'm not going to take any more of your time. But these are just important things to mull over and think about, and just see what's going on behind the scenes, and how effective American system's reach is, and more so how much more effective it could be if we politicians, what's best for the United States first. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to take any more of your time. For God and country.